Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, Strong Style, Cinephile, and of course one half of the reigning defending MPX Tag Team Champions. Don't have my belt because it's in the car and it's a torrential downpour outside yet again, so I don't want to get my belt wet. I mean, this is ridiculous. I swear we're living in Seattle instead of Texas because it's been raining for like a month, and I have dogs, which sucks because having to take them outside it's just a thing. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on Batwoman because we have a new episode. So let's geek about it for a scant few minutes. Now, this episode follows right after Luke got popped. In the closing moments of the last episode, he tried to stop a carjacker from stealing a car. Douchebag Dirty Crow shows up, shoots him. Luke was reaching for his cell phone. Dude says it's a gun, shoots him, which of course, you know, resonates with a certain segment of the population of us that kind of gets shot all the time for stuff like that happening. So it was another, I imagine this episode was another one that's fodder for anybody who's like, oh, the woke agenda and the woke left agenda and yada, 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 when they're confronted with stuff like this. And even on, like, people will bemoan, you know, stories and plot lines like this, where it's like they want to pretend it doesn't exist. They don't want to deal with this. They watch these TV shows to escape reality and that sort of thing. Mostly it's like whenever they're presented with stuff that has to do with equality and diversity and all those types of things that those in the majority don't like to deal with. I say we need more stuff like this because it goes back to like the Watchmen and the Tulsa Race Massacre, not riots like some people like to say, massacre. And the fact that were it not for shows like The Watchmen and just other things, wouldn't even know that stuff happens because it doesn't get taught because it's been whitewashed from history. So I think stuff like this is we have to deal with reality, okay? Not fantasy world. We can take some fantasy elements in our shows and stuff like that, but at a certain point, like, they have to still reflect some of the stuff that's going on in our society. I have no problem with that because I'm part of that affected bit of society. So I have no issue with that. I don't rail against stuff like this when it happens. It just kind of, if anything, kind of makes me a little bit, because I've been through this type of stuff, so it kind of makes me angry. So you have to try to like temper your anger a little bit in watching stuff like this, seeing it happen, because you know you've been through it, and you know people have been through it. You got family, friends, stuff like that who've been through this type of stuff that, you know, and it's just, you have to like kind of just try to woosah and just enjoy the show. So that's what I did with this episode. Had a couple things going on with it. They were trying to figure out how to save Luke. Mary is going to use the Desert Rose flower to save his life, but of course she has to work on getting it into Luke. With the help of the returning wolf spider, which some people on message boards and social media seem to like. I think his costume still sucks, and it was like some Warehouse 13 CG to see him zipline like into the, you know, the room and all that kind of stuff. That was terrible, but it's cool that he was there to help save the day. Outside of that, you had douche cop Tavaroff apparently doctored the body cam footage to show that Luke had a gun and not a actual cell phone. So it's up to Batwoman, on Sophie's suggestion, because she knows how the Crows operate, to go to their headquarters and go to where they have their servers and get the body cam footage before it is deleted forever. Meantime, Jacob, after some words of wisdom, stern talking to from Sophie, decides to go at Douche Cop and say that he wants his gun, his badge, and wants him basically sidelined until he has a chance to further investigate what happened with Luke and maybe some other things, because he knows that dirty stuff is going on. It seemed like in his conversation with Sophie early on that he was kind of okay, because Sophie recounted a tale of a rapist and finding some evidence to convict him at the last minute, and Jacob seemed to be like okay with that. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, basically. It's not, you know, seemed like he didn't mind like trampling on some civil rights here and there if it meant closing a case. So I was kind of like, But then he seems to have seen the light, tries to do something in this deal with Tavaroff. Tavaroff decides to knock him out, and they are going to shoot him up with snakebite because they find out he's a junkie, until Batwoman saves the day at the cost of her getting the evidence that exonerates Luke. Thankfully, of course, they tried to, you know, kill Jacob Kane. So he holds a press conference that announces all this and kind of clears Luke's name. And also he decides to disband the Crows because he realizes they are dirty as can be. So again, it kind of goes back to what I wondered before, is if we're moving towards a totally Kate-free season 3. Now, Alice is dealing with Ocean killing Enigma and her way to find the trigger word to, you know, activate Kate's memories. Her and Ocean kind of go back and forth. Apparently, Enigma was the daughter of the Riddler. Who knows if that little bit is going to be paid off at a certain point in time. I hope not, because I hope Alice is not on the show next season, so I don't even care about that. This whole thing with Ocean and Alice's love life and stuff, I don't care. But they go back and forth. Ocean's in love with her, yada, yada, yada. She's in love with him. Yay. At the end of the episode, she meets with Jacob and tells him that Kate's alive and wants his help to bring her back. But in going towards my hope of a Kate-free season 3, the fact that the Crows were disbanded, you have Alice and Jacob working together to bring Kate back around. So I'm wondering if the three of them, once it happens, because it probably will by the season's end, if they could just ride off into the sunset. All the Kanes just together, just ride off into the sunset and go catch up, and all the years and whatever that they missed as a family. They can go to an island somewhere and just catch up on it and just be gone. That's what I'm hoping. Other stuff going on, like Luke, when he was laid up in hospital bed, he apparently took a trip to the afterlife where he encountered Bruce Wayne, and they were in, of course, the Wayne Enterprises headquarters, the office. Of course, they got to reuse sets, save money. In the distance is Luke's father, Bruce, and Luke is there. Basically, Bruce is like, hey, if you want to go talk to your father, that's it, because your father's over there in the afterlife. He's gone. You want to go talk to him, you want to go be with him, you're giving up your chance of life. You're going to die. Luke apparently decides that's what he wants to do, because he doesn't like this world the way it is. And he's like, I want to go be with my dad. He tries to go be with his dad. He picks that option, but they've already administered the Desert Rose. It starts working. He gets pulled back to the land of the living. So I'm wondering, because there have been set photos, apparently, I haven't seen them myself, but I've read that there are set photos of Luke in the Batwing costume. So I'm wondering if, because we're all wondering kind of what's going to put him in the suit, because we don't really see him as that guy at this point in time. I'm wondering if, because he chose to go with his father, if that's going to make him a little bit more, I don't want to say unhinged, but maybe a guy that takes more chances, a guy that tries to loosen his tie, unbutton top button of his suit, and just tries to be just a little looser, a little more of a risk taker, just more of a guy who doesn't really care, because I don't want to say suicidal, but just kind of leaning that way, because that's ultimately what he picked. He didn't pick to remain here. He picked to go be with his dad. So maybe he just doesn't care if something happens to him, because he figures he'll be with his dad at the end, in the afterlife. So I'm kind of wondering if that maybe will steer Luke towards the suit and the vigilante tactics and stuff in episodes come. Kind of wondering how that's going to go. You have Ryan kind of blame herself for challenging Luke on being privileged and about staying on the sidelines and stuff like that, which led to him getting shot, which has her blaming herself for it. So it was kind of some interesting scenes and interesting drama from Javicia Leslie as Ryan for this episode. I think it fits. It'll add to some of the layers of her relationship with Luke and how they're going to go forward. And again, I'm kind of wondering if Ryan's words, her calling him privileged, calling him going in on him for the fact he stays on the sidelines, if that again is going to motivate him to want to be Batwing, to be out there, to do these crazy things again, because he didn't pick to remain here. It's an important thing to note. He did not choose to stay. I'm wondering if I'm hoping that's something that they don't just never look at, never investigate, never bring up, it's never brought up as it's never brought back around for discussion for between some of the characters, that he did not pick to stay. So very, very interesting. So that was basically the gist of the episode. All in all, it was cool. It was dealing with something that was difficult for certain, like I said, certain segments of the population. Other segments of the population may bristle at the idea of these woke agenda type of stories and yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, I don't know what to say that at this point. I don't really care. There's always going to be people that feel like that. I choose not to associate with them or acknowledge them or just deal with their, bull. It's the way it is. As far as Kate, I don't care. I just want them to find her so they can just go away. I really hope this doesn't get stretched into season 4 or season 3. I just really, really hope it does not get stretched into season 3. Like, I will just be so irritated if it does. But remains to be seen how things go, and where things go with No More Crows. Not that anybody really ever understood what the Crows could do and couldn't do in their jurisdiction and stuff. I'd really never understood that. I just didn't understand how they could operate and do the kind of stuff, do like the police things that they do, but they're not the police. They're a private security firm, which private security firms are fine. Lots of people have them, but they don't do what the Crows did. It just goes back to the Arrowverse writers not really understanding how the legal system works or how police procedure truly works. I mean, there's so many things about the legal and judicial system that CW writers do not understand and have been doing it wrong for years, upon years, upon years. And it seems like it's just never gonna change. Or maybe this is a turning point for it. Maybe they realize the Crows are stupid and just like, we can just get rid of them, just go back to regular police stuff. Not that they will do that any better. It remains to be seen. I don't know, who knows? Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on it. Scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me, social media. Talk to me there, talk to me here on this channel. This weekend, if you're in Mississippi, I'll be heading out that way for some wrestling. Been waiting for years to get into this particular promotion, so I'm excited, looking forward to it. I'm gonna go places and kick faces, make movies, kick faces. It's what I do. It's what I do very, very well. Till next time, let us geek.